So in our last video, we did an unboxing of these two new reels right here. But in this video, we're going to showcase our setups, what we do, the line, the rig, the hooks, the rods, everything that you kind of need to get into snagging if you're interested in it. So we're going to start with the biggest reel of our lineup. This is the Spin Fisher 10,500, which is just a little overkill, but I do like it as it holds a lot of line. We got, I think, 600 yards of 80-pound braid, or dang close to it. I think it's like 580. Puts out a lot of drag, more than plenty to stop those giant carp, paddlefish, whatever it is that you're going to target snagging. It's a good shark reel as well. But this one, I've had it for about 4 years now, and you can see that it has seen the ringer of things. It is just beat to crap, and I haven't had any issues with it so far. It's held up well. It's a good reel, but it's very heavy. So if you don't want a heavy setup, I would not get one of these. I'd recommend about an 8,000. This is our second reel here, the second biggest. It's a little bit smaller than this one. It is a Penn Battle 10,000, and we got 65-pound braid on here. I think it puts out like 40 pounds of drag, which, once again, it is more than plenty. Full metal, everything, metal rotor, metal housing. Just big handle so you can really winch those fish in. It's got a low gear ratio. Just everything you'd need in a big, beefy reel. And then now we're getting to the smaller setups. This is a Battle 8,000. We got 80-pound braid on this. This thing probably had it for a year and a half, maybe 2 years, and it's held up well. No issues with it whatsoever. It's all scratched up. Probably needs a good cleaning in its life, but other than that, it is a very solid reel. Little pricey. All of these are a little bit pricey. This one is about $250. This one was $180. This one was $160. Now we're going to get into the little bit smaller ones. This is a Spin Fisher 6,500. This is probably the smallest we'd go for snagging, like all day if you're really into it. We've got 65-pound braid on here. Puts out a lot of drag. Once again, all metal. Just a good, solid reel. This is brand new though, so I've yet to use this on the water, but I've used a Fierce 6,000, and I had that for about 4 years, and that was good, but I wanted an upgrade, and this is probably the best to do it with. And then this is more if you're on a budget, just trying to get into snagging. It's an Ugly Tough SP 600. I think it's about $70. We got 65-pound braid on here. Puts out less drag than all of these, but still more than plenty. I think it puts about 18 pounds. And we haven't had any issues so far with it. We've used it for maybe a couple months now. The only issue we've really noticed is right here with the bail. It's coming loose. But other than that, it's a dang good reel. And then these are all of our setups so far, just the reels. All right, here's the part of the video where we talk about what not to buy. A lot of these, they're good reels, but just not for snagging. If you're looking to snag with them, it probably will not work. This one, I'm gonna start with the Fierce. It lasted me 4 years, so I'm not gonna dog on it, but it was a very good snagging reel. But it's got a composite rotor, and I've actually had 2 of these blow up. I had one last about 3 years before it gave out, and then I replaced it, bought a new rotor, and it gave out in less than a year, which isn't ideal. That's why I'd upgraded to the Spin Fisher. But other than that, I would recommend this one out of all of these. It's about $100, and it will last quite a while. That's what happens to them, is they just break right there on the rotor. And then now getting to the crappier setups. I don't really know all the costs and much of all these, but like this one has its rotor blown up along with the handle. A lot of the problem is the handle design. It's this pin that goes through and then you screw in a cap. And what happens is this part right here, the plastic like shreds off like terribly. And then once again, this one's just some cheap plastic. So I don't think it lasted even a month, like maybe 2 snagging sessions, which is not good. The other reel that people will probably commonly buy for snagging is a Big Cat because they see it. It's nice, big reel, holds a lot of line. But once again, it's got that downfall of the plastic rotor. We actually haven't had the rotors break on these, but we have had 3 of these blow up in the past. Actually, on one of them, the rotor did break. But once again, the handle is shredded. And that's mainly on all of these reels, is just the handle. This one is a Shakespeare Contender, and it is junked out as well. I'm not sure which handle this is for this, but it's the same issue with the handle. You know, it's got shredded plastic. The bail, I don't know if you guys can see the bail on that. That thing is toast. I mean, it is just bent down. Doesn't even want to open properly anymore. And these ones, same issue. Handle gives out. The anti-reverse is terrible now, but it's because you're putting a lot of pressure when you swing. There's just a lot of stuff that can go wrong on a cheaper reel. And these aren't even cheap. That's the thing. Like this one's 40 something. All of these are $40, $50 reels. But the main problem is that handle design. Just like this one, you know, a little bit smaller. Probably shouldn't have been snagging with this, but we just did just because. And then we learned why. But the design flaw on all of these, this one does not have it. You want that handle that screws in nice. And this is still a good reel. I can probably get a rotor on this and fix it and have it as a backup if I need it. But this one's got a screw in, you know, nice solid connection that isn't gonna strip out or go anywhere. And yeah, this is what not to buy.
Now I'm gonna briefly explain the different types of hooks that we use and the different types of weights and when we would use them. So for hooks, we pretty much always go with the Mustad brand. They've been pretty reliable and durable for all of our applications. To start off, you got their very basic single strength 5/0 hook. We use 5/0 hooks because that is the biggest that we're legally allowed to use here in Iowa. We do wish we could use bigger, but make sure you check with your local state game regulations and make sure you're using the biggest hook that you legally can. The step up from that is your 3X 5/0 Mustad hook. This one just gives you 3 times the strength that you would normally get from this one. That would be for your bigger fish if you're targeting 60, 80 pound big head carp. And right here is our Mumbo Jumbo Behemoth rig. This is the 5/0 5X strength Mustad snagging hook. If you bend one of these things out, that fish was not meant to be caught. For weights, we use a variety of different sizes, but we always stick with the bank sinker mold. We use these because they travel through the water the easiest with least resistance. That's important for when you have long days of snagging, and it just keeps you from getting as weared out. Now, you're gonna wanna use the 1 to 2 ounce weights for when the fish are pretty close to the surface in the summertime, maybe when you're seeing them kind of break the water. You're gonna wanna use something lighter. And you also wanna take into consideration the current. If you got a real fast, strong current, you're definitely gonna wanna use a 4 or 5 ounce to start with to actually be able to drop in there. Using a 5 ounce weight can be difficult for most people. It will put a lot of strain on yourself and your rig. Also keep in mind the area that you are snagging. It is very easy to let it drop to the bottom and get caught in rocks. Your 3-ounce weight is for most applications. It's very versatile for small, medium, strong currents. It can pretty much get you to where you need to be.
In this last part of the video, we're going to go over the snagging setups, rods, and why we use them. To start off, this is the most budget friendly, gets you into the sport. It'll last quite a while. It's a Berkeley Big Game 8-foot power series. I believe they make a 10-foot, which would probably be just as good. We added a little bit of customization here. They don't come with this, but it holds 1 to 4 ounces of lead. Casts pretty good. Doesn't have a whole lot of backbone when setting the hook into those big fish, so we do notice we lose a little fish here and there just because it doesn't have a huge backbone. And the next setup here, this is my personal favorite. It's light. I can snag all day with it. It's the Spinfisher 6500 on a 9-foot meat hunter. And this rod has caught some giants. Probably the biggest fish caught on it was about 85 pounds. And it had no problem. We can cast anywhere from 2 to 16 ounces of lead on this. No problem whatsoever. Got a nice grip on it. It'll cast really, really far. Here's our second biggest setups here. We're getting another one. That'll be a surprise for later, but these two are the biggest that we have now. This one is my friend's. It's a 10-foot meat hunter, extreme, and it has caught some giants as well. We can cast big, heavy lead, good, solid backbone. We got it paired with an 8,000 size battle. It's a good balanced setup here for catching big ones. And then this is the beast. This is a 10,500 Spinfisher on a 12-foot meat hunter. This is the biggest one we ever use. It does get tiring using it, but it casts really, really far, handles the fish well, and all around is a good rod. I think the heaviest we've ever casted with it was 24 ounces, just to give you an idea of what these things can handle. This one has caught my buddy's biggest fish. It was a 72-pound silver carp, and then about an 86 or something pound big head. And just to get these rods into perspective, here they are all in frame. I mean, just massive setups. But that's what you got to use when you want to catch big fish.